Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So this is lesson number 3 from At-Tuhfah Al-Wasaabiyyah. And inshallah, today we'll get started with the book. It said, تعريف الكلام. قال المصنف رحمه الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الكلام هو لفظ المركب والمفيد بالوضع. Alright, so right here, he starts off with, قال المصنف rahimahullah. And this is, of course, Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn ibn Dawood as-Sinhaji ibn Ajrum. So he's the Musannaf, obviously, because we're talking about the matan of Al-Ajrumiyyah. Alright, so he said, قال المصنف rahimahullah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So first off, the chapter heading is Ta'rif al-Kalam. Ta'rif al-Kalam, it means to get an understanding of what Kalam is. Now, we're talking about Kalam in the language, and we're talking about Kalam amongst the Nuha. Now, of course, here, because we're studying a book of Nahw, so we're going to be focusing on what kalam means amongst the people of Nahw. What is actually kalam? So he said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So the ba here is a harf jar. It's al-isti'ana. The meaning of it, al-isti'ana, that means that you're using it, you're seeking help with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking Allah's assistance to do the action that you're trying to do. So he said, ba al-harf jar, ism majrurun bi-ba. Wal-jar wal-majrur muta'alliqun bi-mahdhuf. And the mahdhuf, it has to be a fi'l. It has to be a fi'l or ma yakun maqamu. So whatever does the action of a fi'l, like a ism fa'il, ism maf'ul, or masdar, and what mashbah dhalik, inshallah. This is something that we'll go into later on, inshallah. And it's going to be mahdhuf fi'l mu'akhar. So the purpose of making it mu'akhar and not putting it, like, for example, aktub bismillah, aqra bismillah, is that you start, for one, you're starting off with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because the taqdeem, the taqdeem الذي حقه التأخير يفيد الحصر. Alright, so like, for example, that means that by putting the verb in the end, you're saying, like, for example, like here, nadrus, right? So we say nadrus bismillahir rahmanir rahim. But if we say bismillahir rahmanir rahim nadrus, and then the meaning is a lot different than if we just put it in the beginning. And that means that we don't study except for in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That everything that we do, we're seeking the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing that thing, and we start with His name. So Bismillah, so jar wa majrur muta'alliq bi fi'l mahdhuf mu'akhir, and it's ala hasb al-maqam. Alright, ala hasb al-maqam. So like right here, we're studying, or I'm teaching. So I would say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim udarris, and you would say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim adrus. Another person might say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim aktub. So ala hasb al-maqam. Alright, according to what the action is. Alright, and then the second thing, of course, we have ism, which is mudaf, and lafd al-jalala. Allah is mudaf ilayh, wa majrurun bil-idafa. Ar-Rahman, sifa, sifa, and is majrur. And Ar-Rahim, sifatu thaniya, which is also majrur. So what we understand is by seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's assistance to do the action that we need to do, and we can only get this done through His mercy. Can only get this done through His mercy, because He is a Rahman, which is dhu rahmatin wasi'ah, because a Rahman is ghayra muta'adiyah. So if you look at like a Rahman, you don't say huwa Rahman bil mu'minin, huwa Rahman bil khalq. No, this is where Ar-Rahim comes in. Ar-Rahimun bil ibad, huwa Rahimun bil ibad, Rahimun bil khalq. And I like this. So here Ar-Rahim is what we say wasila, that it goes to the people, because it's muta'adiyah. Ar-Rahman, dhu rahmatin wasi'ah, that He has a vast amount of mercy. And there's obviously Ar-Rahman is on the sighat al-mubalagha, which is al-fa'lan. And fa'lan, it means that He's full of mercy. He's full of mercy. Just like we spoke about in different lessons, al-ghadban, wa-za'alan, wal-atshan, and all of these different siyagh al-mubalagha, lil-mubalagha. Ar-Rahim is al-sighat al-fa'il, which is another form of ism fa'il, but it's a stronger meaning than fa'il. So Rahim is not the same as Rahim. Rahim is stronger, and Rahman is the strongest. Alright. So Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Alright, so Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, al-kalam. So we have a kalam, huwa lafz al-murakkab al-mufidu bil-wada'. And of course, inshallah, we're going to take all of these one by one right now, inshallah. So he said, قال Sheikh Ahmed ibn Thabit, حفظه الله, أقول وبالله توفيق. I say, in and the correct and hitting the mark is with is only from Allah. بدأ المصنف رحمه الله بالبسملة على القول بأنها من كلامه اقتداء بالكتاب العزيز وتأسيا بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في مكاتباته ومراسلاته. So he said, that the author, he started off with the basmala, and this is with the understanding that this is actually from his speech, because some people say that it's not from his speech, that he didn't start off with the basmala, that the basmala was added. So whatever, whether or not it's his speech, but let's assume that it was his speech and that he wrote it iqtida'an bil kitab al-aziz, and he said, he's following the book of Allah, the Quran in this, because every surah starts off Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَتَأَسِّيًا مِنْ Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is how he would start all of his letters and his mukatibatihi, everything that was written, and murasalatihi, and everything that he sent with the messengers to go to different places with the message of Islam. He would always start it off Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He said ثم ثنى بتعريف الكلام, and then after that, then he went to the secondary thing, which is تعريف الكلام, which is the understanding of what kalam is. He said لأن المقصود بذات إذ به يقع التفاهم والتخاطب والكلام عند النحويين هو ما اجتمع في أربعة الأمور. So he said لأن لأنه المقصود بذات, and the thing that we're focusing on is the kalam right now. إذ به يقع, and this is where we get our understanding. And this is how we talk. We come to an understanding with each other. We talk to one another, and we're just a general speech and the nahween. ما اجتمع في أربعة الأمور. So it has to be comprised of these four things that he mentioned. And for it to be speech amongst the people of Nahw, amongst the ulama of Nahw, it has to have these four issues, four affairs. الأول أن يكون لفظا. الثاني, and this we're going to go over these one by one. So the first thing, it has to be laflan, inshallah. Well, like I said, I'll explain this in a minute. الثاني أن يكون مركبا. الثالث أن يكون مفيدا. والرابع أن يكون موضوعا أي بالوضع العربي. So he said فمعنى اللفظ. So now he's going to go into the meaning of lafz. He said الصوت المشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية التي أولها الألف وآخرها الياء. وذلك نحو زيد فإنه لفظ لأنه صوت مشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية وهي زاي والياء ودال. So the lafz is just, it's a complete sound. It's a صوت مشتمل. Alright, على بعض الحروف الهجائية, and it's from the letters of the alphabet. The حروف الهجائية are the Arabic alphabet. Alif, ba, ta, tha. Alright, the letters. Alright. So these are the حروف الهجائية because it comes from the verb hajja, to hajja, which means to spell something out, which means to say the letters of each word. So if you say, for example, like the hajja zaydun al-kalima, that means that he basically mentioned letter by letter what's in the word. Spell it, it means to spell in the English language. So he said, so these are the huruf al-hijaiyyah, alright, the letters that you use to spell. Allati awwalaha al-alif, the first one of course being alif wa akhiruha al-ya. He didn't mention the meaning of laf in the Arabic language, and laf that comes from the word lafadha, yalfidhu, and lafadha it means taraha, which means to discard or to throw away. So for example, you say like akala ahmadu tamaratan wa lafadha an-nawah. So Ahmed, he ate a date and he threw away the pit of the date, which is the nawah. Alright, so akala ahmadu tamaratan wa lafadha an-nawah. So this means taraha. And so the reason why they call it a lafz is because it's like anta tatrah. You're like throwing the speech out from inside of you to the outside and making it as a sound through the letters and through the pronunciation. So this is what they mean by الصوت المشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية التي أولها ألف وآخرها الياء. Well, basically it has to be a word. It's comprised of the letters of the alphabet. وذلك نحو زيد. So it's like the example زيد. فإنه لفظ. It's a lafz. لأنه صوت مشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية because it is comprised of the حروف, is spelled out with the حروف الهجائية وهي الزاي والياء والدال. فخرج باللفظ الإشارة والكتابة ونحوهما ومما ليس بلفظ فلا تسمى كلاما عند النحاة. So he said, and what's excluded from being a lafz is al-ishara, which means pointing, والكتابة, which is writing, ونحوهما, and anything of that nature, anything like them. Because it's not a word, it's not said, it's not spoken. Seeing that amongst the people of Nahw, it has to be spoken. فَلَا تُسَمَّ كَلَامًا عِنْدَ النُّحَاةِ. Alright, it has to be spoken. And he said, well, the next thing he said, وَمَعْنَى الْمُرَكَّبِ. Murakkab, it means, it comes from rakkaba yurakkibu tarakiban. If you put two things together and you combine them, this is called a tarakib. So here what they mean is, like he said, ma tarakkaba min kalimatayni fa akthar. Alright, and of course the tarakib is a tarakib al-isnadi, and it means that it's either a mubtada wal khabar, which will, for the people that have studied Nahw before, they'll understand this, or it's a fi'l wa fa'il. So it has to be one of these two tarakibs. If it's not a tarakib, then it's not going to be considered kalam. Alright. You have the tarakib also of jar wa majroor, but this is a shibh jumla. What we're talking about is a complete jumla, because also part of the speech that it has to be mufid, which we're going to go through in a second. So ma tarakkab min kalimatayni fa akthara nahwu safara Muhammad. So safara Muhammad is a jumlatun fi'aliyah, because you have safara, which is a fi'l madin, and then you have Muhammad, which is the fa'il marfu'. So safara Muhammadun. So safara fi'l madin is mabniun ala al-fath, لا محل له من الإعراب, ومحمد فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة على آخره. والعلم خير تجارة. والعلم here, so this is مبتدأ والخبر. So it says والعلم هنا is مبتدأ مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة في آخره. خير is a خبر, and it's مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة الظاهرة في آخره. وخير مضاف وتجارة مضاف إليه مجرور بالإضافة. So these are two examples. So he gave you the jumlatun fi'aliyah, and he gave you the jumlatul ismiyah. So he gave you two examples of tarakib. He said فمثال الأول لفظ مركب من كلمتين. So the first example is a lafdun, which is a word, murakkab min kalimatain, and it's made up of two words. الأولى سافر والثانية محمد. والمثال الثاني لفظ مركب من ثلاث كلمات. So it's a spoken word is put together and combined together من ثلاث, from three words put together. الأولى العلم والثانية خير والثالثة تجارة. فخرج بالمركب المفرد. So what's excluded from murakkab is the mufrad, because if the mufrad obviously is not going to be murakkab, so anything that's mufrad like zaydun by itself, it will not be considered kalam. Like he said here, nahwu zaydin فلا يقال له كلام عند النحاة, because there's no tarakib. Although it's a lafz, but because it doesn't have tarakib, then it's not considered kalam. The third thing he said, ومعنى المفيد ما أفاد فائدة تامة يحسن سكوت المتكلم عليها بحيث لا يبقى السامع منتظرا لشيء آخر. نحو حضر زيد، فهذا الكلام مفيد لأنه أفاد فائدة تامة يحسن سكوت المتكلم عليها، وهي الإخبار بحضور زيد. So here we have mufid, which means that it brings benefit, because it comes from afada yufidu ifadatan. If you to bring benefit, fa'ida is a benefit. So ma afada fa'idatan tamma, so it has to bring a complete benefit. Whether that benefit is new or something that's already known is not important. What's important is that it has to be tamma, that it has to be a complete sentence, a complete benefit, and that the person can understand. يحسن سكوت المتكلم عليها, to the point where the speaker, the person who's talking, can stop. It's a good place for him to stop. بحيث لا يبقى السامع منتظرا لشيء آخر, and the person who's listening to him is not waiting for him to say something else. So if we said, like, for example, جاء المدرس, right now I can stop talking. It's clear. I mean, if that's what I wanted to say, then the meaning is clear. And if I wanted to stop, I can stop. But if I say either جاء المدرس, now it's not clear. The person who's listening is waiting for me to say something else. So in this case, this is not going to be mufid. It has, until I come with the rest of the sentence, إذا جاء المدرس أنصت التلاميذ. So then once the teacher comes, then the students will pay attention, or they will listen. Now I've come with the rest of the sentence, and now it becomes mufid. So this is the third condition. So if it Alright, so he said, فهذا الكلام, alright, he said, ومعنى المنتظر من الشيء آخر نحو حضر زيد. فهذا الكلام مفيد. So حضر زيد. So Zayd, he attended, or he was present. فهذا الكلام مفيد. لأنه أفاد فائدة تامة, because there's a complete benefit. حضر زيد. خلاص, we're not, يحسن سكوت المتكلم عليها, and it's a good place for the speaker to stop. وهي الإخبار بحضور زيد, and it's just giving information about the attendance of Zayd, that he attended this gathering or whatever it is, or the class. فإن السامع إذا سمع ذلك لا ينتظر شيئا آخر. So if the listener were to hear this speech, حضر زيد, alright, he would not be waiting for anything else to be said. ويعد سكوته حسنا, and he would consider the person stopping at this point and is refraining from talking after that is hasana, is good, is acceptable, because it's understood what he meant. He said, فخرج بالمفيد غير المفيد كعبد الله وزيد وإن قام زيد ونحو ذلك مما لا فائدة فيه. So what he's mentioning here is the different types of taraqib. So he mentioned like كعبد, which is a taraqib al-idafi, alright, which is Abdullah, even though it's a lafdhun murakkab, but it's not mufid, because it's just two words put together, Abdullah. If we say Ja'a Abdullah, then it's mufid. Wa Zaydun, wa in qama Zaydun, because this is sharati, this is conditional. Wa in qama Zaydun. Wa in qama Zaydun, what? What is it? What's going to happen? You know, if he stands up, then what's going to happen? When qama Zaydun, sakata al-mudarris, you know that the mudarris will stay quiet if Zayd stands up, or something of that nature. So we have to have something to complete the condition. وَنَحْوُ ذَلَكَ مِمَّا لَا فَائِدَةَ فِيهِ. Alright, in any of these types of sentences that there's no benefit. So if it's lafdun and it's murakkabun, but there's no ifada, there's no fa'ida, then khalas, it's not considered kalam until you bring something and complete the sentence and make it mufid. The last one he said, وَمَعْنَى الْوَضْعِ الْعَرَبِي. Alright, that it has to be from the Arabic language. It's something that's placed in the Arabic language. أن تكون الألفاظ التي نتكلم بها من الألفاظ التي وضعتها العرب للدلالة على معنى من المعاني. So the words that we use, the alfaz, the words that we use, they have to be words that we use in our speech. They have to be words that the Arabs put these words into the Arabic language with that specific meaning. If we're using it out of the context that the Arabs use it in, it's not considered kalam. If we're using it in a way and not saying it the way that they say it, then said it in that time, then it's not considered kalam. So these words have to be words that they put in this language for the meaning that they put it with. So you can't change the meaning. You can't say, like, for example, dhahaba now means akala. No, that's not what the Arabs put dhahaba. That's not the meaning of dhahaba amongst from the lughat al-Arab. So somebody cannot come today and say dhahaba means akala. This will not be from the Arab. And also the alfaz al-ajamiyah, like for example computer, microphone, television, radio, telephone, and وما أشبه ذلك. These types of alfaz, they're not considered al-Arabiyyah, and they're not considered kalam, because they're not from the alfaz al-Arabiyyah. Alright, so this will take it out of being kalam. So he said, أن تكون الألفاظ التي نتكلم بها من الألفاظ التي وضعتها العرب لدلالة على معنى من المعاني نحو قام. So he gave the example of قام يقوم, which means وقياما, which means to stand. مثلا فإنه لفظ عربي جعلته العرب دالا على معنى. Alright, that the Arabs put this word to have a meaning. وهو القيام في الزمن الماضي. Alright, which is the standing, the person standing in the past. في زمن الماضي, in the past time. ومثله زيد. Alright, an example of that also is Zayd. فإنه لفظ عربي جعلته العرب دالا على معنى. Alright, so it's another word. It's from the Arabic language that the Arabs put it with a specific meaning. وهو ذات التي وضع عليها لفظ زيد. And it goes back to the person who has that name of Zayd. فإذا قلت قام زيد كنت قد استعملت كلام عربي استعملته العرب في كلامها. So if you say قام زيد, then you have used speech that's Arabic speech that the Arabs used in their speech. And when we're talking about the Arabs now, we're talking about before 200 Hijri. So whatever the Arabs used that was not considered Arabic language at that time is no longer considered the Arabic language. Alright, so he said مثال الكلام الجامع مثال الكلام الجامع للأمور الأربعة قولك ينجح المجتهد ينجح المجتهد. So ينجح, it means to be successful. المجتهد, it means a person who works hard. So the person who works hard, he'll be successful. وقوله تعالى استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة. Alright, so here we have استعينوا, which means استعانة. It comes from استفعل, which means to seek something. To seek something. استعانة and عون, it means assistance or help. أعانة, it means to assist or help. So يعينوا. أعانة يعينوا. And عونا, it means assistance. So استعينوا, it means seek the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بالصبر, through patience, والصلاة, and prayer, and dua, and وما أشبه ذلك. So this is how we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's assistance. We seek His assistance through patience and through prayer. And also with salat, it also has the meaning of a dua. Alright? So what else? فكل واحد من هذين المثالين يسمى كلاما في اصطلاح النحاة. So both of these examples, they both are considered speech from amongst the ulama and the terminologies of النحاة, which are the people of Nahw. لأنه جمع الأمور الأربع. So because it gathers all four of these conditions together. فهو لفظ لأنه صوت مشتمل على بعض الحروف الهجائية ومركب لتركبه من كلمتين أو أكثر ومفيد لأنه أفاد فائدة تامة يحسن السكوت عليها وموضوع بالوضع العربي لأنه مما استعملته العرب في كلامها. So all of these four conditions is in both of these examples. So ينجح المجتهد, we have لفظ. Alright, murakkab, we have ينجح فعل, مجتهد فاعل. Alright, and then we have, so it's murakkab, mufidun, because ينجح المجتهد. Alright, it's complete, it's a complete meaning, it has fa'idah, and they're both words that the Arabs put with the meaning that they have. Ista'inu, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ista'inu, we have the fi'l amr. Alright, and of course the fa'il is the waw. So when you say Ista'inu, you see the waw in there is the waw itself is the waw al-jama'a, is the dhamir, is a dhamir muttasilun mabniyun ala sukun في محل رفع فاعل. That is the fa'il. So you won't say like تقديره أنتم. No, تقدير is the waw. So there's no taqdir here. If you say استعن billah, and you're only talking to one person, then you would say that the fa'il is is muqaddar. وتقديره أنت. But here no, استعينوا, the waw. The harf here, waw, is a ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل. بالصبر, so we have استعينوا, we have right here فعل أمر, we have the fa'il, which is the waw, which is waw al-jama'a, which goes back to أنتم. بالصبر, alright, so also sabr from the alfaz al-arabiyyah. والصلاة, also from the alfaz al-arabiyyah. We have a tarkib, we have al-ifada, we have everything, all the conditions are met for this to be kalam. So he said أمثلة للكلام المفيد الكلمة طيبة صدقة العدل أساس الحكم. Alright, العلم نافع. So الكلمة الطيبة صدقة, the good speech, a good word is charity. Al-adl, which is justness, to be just, أساس الحكم, was the foundations of judgment. Because if you don't have adl, how are you going to judge? How are you going to judge? You're going to judge with oppression. And he says, Al-ilm nafi'un. Al-ilmu nafi'un. The knowledge is what? Beneficial. Beneficial. And then the last part he said, أمثلة للكلام غير المفيد. غير المفيد إذا حضر العلم لو أنصف الناس من يذاكر دروسه. So all of these are conditional. And obviously if you have any type of sentence that's conditional, and we're going to go over this later on in the book inshallah, but there has to be a completion of that condition. So إذا حضر المعلم what? جلس الطلاب, أنصت الطلاب, whatever, so there has to be some completion of the condition. And in the second example, he said, لو أنصف الناس. أنصف, it means عدل, also to be just. If the people were just, لو أنصف الناس لكان خيرا لهم, or لو أنصف الناس أصبح الأمور طيبة. If the people would just be just, it's better for them, or the affairs of the people will become better. من يذاكر دروسه ينجح. من يذاكر دروسه لا يرسب. So whatever, you have to finish it up. من يذاكر here, مذاكرة, it means to revise. So من يذاكر دروسه, whoever revises his lessons, ينجح أو يستفيد أو ما أشبه ذلك. But there has to be something to complete these, because all of these are conditional, and until you come with something that completes the condition, then it's not considered mufid, and it's not considered kalam until you complete it. So these are all examples. These four conditions have to be met in every single time that we speak. If we're going to stop speaking, these conditions have to have been met before we stop speaking, so that the listener does not wait for us to say something else, inshallah. So with that, inshallah, we'll end the dars. إلى هنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب